Welcome back to the space where silence speaks louder than noise, where real strength isn't shouted from rooftops, but carried in stillness. If you've ever felt like there's something women are drawn to that they don't talk about, something unspoken that makes them feel safe, curious, and deeply connected to certain men, you're not wrong. There is a trait, subtle, almost invisible, that instantly sets certain men apart. Not because they say the right things, but because of how they carry themselves. Quiet, calm, focused, in control. Most people chase attention. They perform. They react. But then there's the man who enters the room and doesn't have to prove anything. He doesn't demand presence. He is presence. He doesn't rush to speak because he's already listening. And what's more fascinating is 99% of women deeply admire this trait, but you'll almost never hear them say it aloud. They won't list it on dating profiles. They won't bring it up in casual conversation, but they feel it. And when they do, something inside them shifts. This video isn't for every man. It's not for the ones chasing external validation, seeking quick tricks, or trying to be someone they're not. This is for the man who wants to understand power beyond performance, who wants to embody the quiet confidence that women instinctively trust, admire, and lean into. If that sounds like you, stay. What you'll hear today might just change how you show up in every room you walk into, and how women respond to your presence, even before you say a word. So, what is this one trait? It's not dominance. It's not good looks. It's not wealth, humor, or even intelligence, at least not in the way you might think. It's something quieter, much more rare, something only a few men ever master, but the ones who do never go unnoticed. It's emotional stillness, the ability to remain calm, composed, and grounded, no matter what energy surrounds you. Women don't say this out loud, but they feel it in their bodies. The moment they encounter a man who isn't emotionally reactive, who doesn't flinch at tension, who doesn't need to control the room, they feel safer, more seen, more held. And that safety, it's not weakness, it's power. The kind of power that doesn't need to dominate to lead, it simply is. Think about it. In a world filled with noise, chaos, overreaction, and emotional outbursts, the man who breathes before speaking, who chooses presence over performance, becomes magnetic without even trying. That man doesn't try to impress. He expresses nothing, and in that says everything. He becomes a mystery worth exploring. Stillness doesn't mean coldness. It doesn't mean you suppress emotion. On the contrary, it means you've made peace with it. You feel everything, but you're not ruled by any of it. A woman might be upset, nervous, testing boundaries, or spiraling in her own thoughts. And while most men would get defensive, chase clarity, or try to fix everything, you remain grounded, present, reassuring. And that creates a force field of calm around you that she naturally wants to move closer to. Not because you said anything impressive, but because you gave her something no one else does: emotional safety. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That's where emotional stillness begins, internally. When you stop needing the outside world to regulate how you feel, you become unshakable and, ironically, more attractive. When you walk into a room and don't need to speak to be felt, that's stillness. When someone attacks you verbally and you don't respond from ego, that's stillness. When she pushes to see what you're made of and you respond not with anger but presence, that's stillness. And that is the one thing she secretly craves, even if she'll never admit it. Now pause for a second. Ask yourself honestly, do you carry this trait? Or are you still chasing reactions, explanations, validation? If you've already tapped into this power, comment below, "Stillness is my strength." And if you are still working on it, say, "I'm learning to be still." Either way, your path is valid, because the man who seeks stillness is already miles ahead of the one who never questions his noise. Emotional stillness is not a slogan. It's not a performance. It's something that shows itself quietly in the smallest, most ordinary moments of everyday life. And yet, it's those exact moments that define you in a woman's eyes. Picture this. She's overwhelmed. Maybe it's work, maybe it's family, maybe it's something that has nothing to do with you. But the emotion spills over. Her voice gets sharper. Her energy becomes erratic. And in that moment, every man she's ever dealt with has either snapped back, gone silent in fear, or tried to solve her feelings like a broken machine. But you don't react. You don't run. You stay, quiet, present, calm. You let her finish. You look into her eyes without trying to interrupt or outmatch her emotions. And instead of offering a solution, you offer something far rarer, your grounded presence. And in that moment, her nervous system starts to calm. Not because you said anything brilliant, not because you handled her, but because you didn't become part of the chaos. You didn't absorb it. You didn't fight it. You remained still. That is emotional leadership. And she notices. You see, most men only know two modes: explode or shut down. But the still man, he becomes a third space, a refuge, a mirror that doesn't judge, but reflects clarity. And women feel that difference immediately. Sometimes they won't even know why they feel drawn to you, but they'll feel safe enough to be real. And that's something they don't get often. Now let's take a more subtle example. You're out on a date. She's being playful, testing the waters, making a sarcastic comment to see how you'll react. She's not trying to offend you. She's trying to feel your energy. Most guys would either try to outwit her, defend themselves, or take it personally. But you simply smile. You hold her gaze, maybe raise an eyebrow, say nothing. The silence speaks. It tells her, "You don't shake me. I see through the performance. I'm here for what's real." And that, again, disarms her. Because now she knows you're not just another ego looking for approval. You're the kind of man who doesn't need to win the moment because you already won yourself. That kind of inner peace is rare. And when you walk with that energy, it changes everything. People treat you differently. Conversations slow down around you. Even men begin to adjust their tone in your presence. Not because you dominate them, but because you anchor the space. And women, they lean in, not because you chase them, but because your stillness offered them something they didn't even know they were starving for: stability in a world full of chaos. Now don't confuse this with being passive. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is choosing your response with wisdom, not emotion. It's the pause between the impulse and the reaction. It's what Epictetus meant when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters." So let me ask you directly now, do you respond or do you react? Do you speak from centered calm or from nervous energy? Do people feel more stable or more shaken when they're around you? These questions matter more than you think, because you can't fake stillness. You can't pretend presence. You either are or you're not. And if you're not, that's okay. That's where the journey begins. Emotional stillness isn't a personality trait. It's a practice. It's developed in solitude, in reflection, in quiet moments where you choose patience over pride and breath over impulse. It's built every time you observe before reacting, and every time you realize you are not your emotion, you are the space around it. And the more you live from that space, the more magnetic you become. So if you've made it this far in the video, I want you to do something bold. Comment below, "I choose stillness," not just because it sounds cool, but because it's a commitment to a way of being that elevates not just your relationships, but your entire life. And if you're not there yet, comment, "I'm learning to be still." Because awareness is where power begins. You might be wondering, where does this kind of calm even come from? How does a man develop stillness in a world that constantly pulls him in every direction? To react, to perform, to prove himself? The answer is found in a philosophy that has stood the test of time, a way of thinking that has raised warriors, emperors, and thinkers for centuries. Stoicism. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion or pretending nothing affects you. That's a misunderstanding, a dangerous one. Real Stoicism is about understanding what is within your control and letting go of everything that's not. It's the discipline of separating what happens from how you respond. And that is the very essence of emotional stillness. When you embrace Stoic principles, you begin to realize you don't need to respond to every provocation. You don't need to chase validation or fear rejection. You don't need to panic when things don't go your way. Instead, you pause. You observe. You ask, is this mine to control? Or is this wind passing through? And that's the moment you gain power, because you are no longer ruled by the external world. You're ruled by your own mind. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics and a Roman emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wasn't just philosophical poetry. This was survival. He faced war, betrayal, loss, death, and yet he remained clear-headed, balanced, calm. Why? Because he understood how he showed up mattered more than what happened to him. And it's the same for you. You may not be a general in battle, but life will test you. Traffic jams, sudden rejection, disrespect, emotional storms in your relationships, even your own doubts and insecurities. These are your modern battlegrounds. And every time you react impulsively, you lose. But every time you breathe, hold space, and choose your response, you win. Not just in the moment, but in the kind of man you become. So how do you apply Stoicism to your daily life? You start by asking simple, powerful questions. Is this worth my energy? Can I control this situation or only my response to it? What is the most grounded version of me doing right now? Then you act from that place, not from ego, not from fear, from clarity. When a woman sees that in you, when she feels that you don't react like every other man, she feels something ancient, something safe, something deeply attractive, not because you're perfect, but because you're present. And presence, rooted in Stoic stillness, is the rarest form of masculine energy in today's world. So next time life throws you something unexpected, a sharp word, a stressful delay, a moment of tension, stop, breathe, ask, what would a Stoic man do right now? That question alone can redirect your entire day, and over time, it will reshape your relationships, your mindset, and your sense of self. So I'll ask you this, are you reacting? Or are you responding? Are you chasing control or mastering yourself? If you feel this, if something deep inside you recognizes this path as your own, say it below. I choose the Stoic path. Let that be your declaration. And if you're still learning to walk it, that's powerful too. Comment, I'm building discipline, because even Marcus had to start somewhere. So how does all of this change your connection with women? It's simple. A woman doesn't want to feel like she has to lead all the time. She doesn't want to feel like she's emotionally stronger than you. She doesn't want to teach you how to be her rock. She wants to lean on one. And here's the truth most men never hear. The more still you are, the more she can be herself. The more grounded you are, the more she can be soft, emotional, feminine. Not because you control her, but because she knows you can hold her. When you carry emotional stillness, something shifts in her. She stops overthinking. She stops testing. She stops wondering if you can handle her. Because now, she feels it. And in that stillness, she opens, emotionally, mentally, physically, not because you chased her, but because she relaxed in your energy, because you're not just a man, you're her safe space. Here's what most men get wrong. They think attraction is about performance, about looking the part, saying the right thing, playing the game. But deep feminine attraction, it happens in silence, in presence, in how you make her feel when nothing is being said. When you're with her and you're calm, not because you're indifferent, but because you're centered, she begins to trust you on a level even she doesn't fully understand. Trust leads to connection. Connection leads to vulnerability, and vulnerability leads to intimacy, real intimacy, the kind most people never experience because most people are too busy reacting, controlling, proving. You're just there, listening, watching, feeling, breathing, and in doing nothing, you offer everything. That is the stillness she loves, the one she'll never put into words, the one she'll never ask for, but the one she'll always remember. So now I'll ask you, not as a test, but as an invitation. Can you be the calm in her storm? Can you be the presence that anchors her emotions? Can you lead without controlling, hold without clinging, protect without possessing? If the answer is yes, or even not yet, but I'm becoming that man, you're already far ahead of the crowd. Comment below, I lead with presence. Or if you're still learning, say, I'm building my presence. And just remember this, in a world full of noise, you don't have to be louder. You just have to be still enough to be felt. Maybe you've never heard any of this before. Maybe no one ever told you that your silence could be powerful, that your presence, even when you say nothing, could be the very thing someone needs most. Maybe you spent years being told to man up, to be strong, to never show weakness. But no one told you that true strength is not the absence of feeling. It's the ability to hold your feelings without letting them own you. And maybe, for the first time in your life, you're realizing that stillness isn't emptiness. It's wisdom without noise, power without force, masculinity without ego. And that's what makes you rare. So if you've made it this far in the video, you're not just a passive listener. You're someone who's seeking, someone who's reflecting, someone who's ready to stop chasing and start embodying, ready to stop reacting and start responding, ready to stop performing and finally start becoming. If this spoke to you, if you felt even a moment of truth in these words, then let's not let it fade. Pause, feel, and write something that grounds it into your story. Comment below. I lead with presence, or stillness is my strength, or simply, I'm ready to become that man. Whatever your truth is, share it. Not for likes, not for anyone else, but because speaking it makes it real. And if you're still walking that path, if you're learning, trying, falling, and rising again, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress, and progress begins with awareness. Remember, you don't need to be the loudest man in the room. You don't need to impress, dominate, or explain. You just need to be there, truly, with intention, with breath, with depth. Because a man who has mastered stillness has already mastered everything else. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And most of all, thank you for choosing to walk the rare path, not of noise, not of power games, but of quiet, grounded, unshakable presence. Until next time, breathe deeply, stand tall, and keep walking the Stoic path, one silent, powerful step at a time.